Hi guys, and welcome back to Twisted Locker, your definitive horror podcast. Today we're going to be reviewing the brand new movie from Radio Silence, and we've got Abigail starring Dan Stevens, Alicia Way, Angus Cloud, Kathyrn Newton, Kevin Durand, and Giancarlo Esposito. I have never had to remember so many names for a review in my life. There is so many top dogs in this film that I had to mention on the opening. It's insane. But like I said, we've got Abigail. Jenks, if you want to kick this one off.
Yeah, I'll start away. It's this film was great. I really enjoyed it. I haven't seen a good vampire film for a while, and even if you don't like vampire stuff, it's a good kind of like action sort of thriller. It's it's this what I love about this film. There's so many characters, like you said, but they're all memorable. Not a
Yeah.
bit like Predator. You remember all the characters. They're not just there to be killed off one by one. Every character is memorable. Particularly, my favorite character is Kevin Durand.
Yeah.
He plays Peter, big buff guy. He's one of those actors that's just in stuff. Most people don't know his name. You just recognize him from like Deadpool, not Deadpool, Wolverine, the Origins when he played the Blob.
Yeah.
But he steals the show, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So does Kathyrn Newton. She is great in it. We saw her in a film the other day, Lisa Frankenstein.
Yes.
And that's a bit criminally underrated. I kind of wish we watched it and reviewed it because we didn't watch it because we didn't fancy it. We watched it on a whim, and she's brilliant in
Yeah,
it.
she's so good.
But I think she's even better in this one. I think she's great. But the star of the show, the best thing in it is Abigail, played by Alicia Ware, and she is brilliant. She's so her movement, a creepy movement, the way she delivers dialogue. It does not sound clunky for a kid. But the basic setting is these criminals are stuck in a house, and they think they're kind of babysitting a child for this sort of gangster, whatever. But turns out she's a vampire. You've seen her in the trailer, and she's trying to pick them off one by one. It's great. It's a pretty special film, and I'm so glad Melissa Barrera, um, they haven't forgotten about Hollywood because she's so good in this. And I know Radio Silence, they did the Scream
Yeah,
films, and
yeah.
I think they're pretty loyal to her. But she's a great leading lady. She's brilliant. And I really think Scream fucked her over with Scream 7. And the only reason that film's not completely derailed without her and Jenna Ortega is because they got Neve
Neve
Campbell
Campbell.
back.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed this film. The only two negatives I have is probably it could have been a little bit tighter, maybe a little bit too stretched. The ending was a little bit stretched. If they shaved off maybe 10 minutes, I think it would have tightened it up nicely. Could have been a little bit scarier, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the build up. I won't spoil it, but there's a great joke about garlic in it that made me laugh
Yeah.
aloud in
Yeah.
the cinema, which I don't. Uh, but yeah, and I absolutely loved what happens in the end. I won't again. I'm dying to spoil it, but I don't want to spoil it. But there is a scene at the end that's quite creepy, and you have a bit of a shock using a loud voice. You probably know what I'm on about. Yeah, it's a great film. I would highly recommend this. And I gotta say, I love these two directors. They call Radio Silence.
Red, you're
If
not.
you and I have Yeah, if you and I ever make a film together, we should just have one name, like Twisted Locker or something.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. It's
100%.
so I don't know whether they're the first people to do it, have like a brand name. I've never seen it before. I'm sure I might be wrong, but it's awesome. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, hit the nail on the head there, Jenks. I absolutely love this movie. Now, if you look at all the stuff around me, right, you can clearly tell that I like the funnier side of horror. But
Yeah.
nothing too silly. But if a horror film is quite witty and funny and it doesn't take itself too seriously, now it's a film that's going to be right up my street. Now, I was really looking forward to this film. It's probably one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and it was one of those films. You can have like you can really look forward to a film and you get that sinking feeling, oh, is it going to live up to my expectations? But
Yeah,
somehow I knew I was going to love this film because I love the director's radio silence. And like I said, it just from the trailer alone and the synopsis, I knew that this was going to be right up my street,
yeah,
and I absolutely loved it. And what's great about this film is it is a bit of a slow burn, but it gets you into that setting quickly. The film starts quick. They get in the house in the first 15 minutes, and then you've got the slow burn. But what it does well is that it introduces you to all these characters, all these quirky characters, and then it gives the film time to develop these characters so you really start to fall in love with them. Now, everyone stood out in this film. Like you said, Kevin Durand was amazing. He's got so many funny one-liners in this film.
oh
He
yeah,
plays like the dumb muscle.
yeah,
He's only good for one thing.
yeah.
He
He's
is
brilliant.
absolutely epic in this film. And when I seen him in the trailer, like you said, Jenks, he's one of those guys that's just in films. I never really knew his
Yeah,
name.
yeah,
And I thought, oh, that's a bit of a strange casting, but oh my God, he is amazing. But my standout in this film, right, someone you didn't really mention too much, is Dan Stevens. This guy,
yeah,
right, never misses. And ever since The Guest, right, I've been obsessed with this guy. And what's great about him is he's handsome, but he's got this menacing look about him, and he
yeah,
plays these parts perfectly. And he's got so many twists and turns in this film. I'm not going to spoil anything, but his arc in this movie is absolutely amazing. I want to talk about the inspirations for this film as well. You've got From Dusk Till Dawn, you've got Lost Boys, there's a bit of Fright Night, there's a bit of everything in this film. And
yeah,
watching it, you can tell that Radio Silence are just massive fans of this genre, specifically vampire movies. And there's so much love and attention that have gone into everything with this film. Now, even though it's inspired by a lot of movies, it's absolutely its own film and it doesn't follow those usual tropes of horror movies. Like I said, there's so many twists and turns in this film, and there's so many plot points that had me laughing out loud. Now, with that as well, when I say laughing out loud, there is so many insane bits as well, like insane gore. My only bad point is there are a couple of wasted kills. Again, not going to go into too much detail, but when a film's in 18s, you don't want to waste any kills, and there's not enough characters in the
yeah,
film for you to not show the deaths. Now, that's my only takeaway from the film.
yeah,
But overall, this film, I absolutely loved it. The pacing is amazing. Like I said, it's a bit of a slow burn, but once it gets there, there's so many things coming at you from every corner. Alicia Way is amazing. It's hard to believe that this girl was Matilda. Like you said, she is outstanding in this film. And when she swears as well, when she starts swearing, it is insane. It's so
yeah,
funny, right? But she delivers her lines so well. Um,
yeah,
I absolutely love this film, and I know for a fact it's going to be a film that I go back to loads.
yeah.
I can't wait to watch it again.
I would say I was surprised at an 18 certificate
Yeah, me
because
too.
I just thought I think Deadpool's a 15, and it's no gorier than Deadpool. The only reason I think it might have got an 18 is because it's a child, and there's one bit where she loses her arm, it grows back, and things like that. And I just think, yeah, maybe because this child, even though she's a vampire and she's meant to be like really old,
Yeah,
I think maybe it's kind of disturbing, and that's what tipped it to an 18. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the reason, because blood-wise, these days you get so much for 15.
yeah,
You have
yeah,
to have something like Evil Dead where they're mutilating body
absolutely.
parts. Um, but yes, I think a couple more characters would have been good to have a few more kills, because I think they wanted to keep the core characters as long as possible.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
because you've invested so much time in them.
There is
But
um
yeah,
there is a scene where I think fuck is thrown around about 40 times in the space of a minute, where it's just like that fast-paced scene where they're all going back and forth, and fuck is said about
yeah,
80 times. I was like, well, that's probably the 80.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I was shocked even before I seen it. I was like, 18s. I can't see it being in 18s unless there's something really gnarly in there. And then when I watched it
yes,
and finished it, I was like, I don't see it being in 18s. Now there
no,
is extreme gore in there, but it's over the top gore, like Evil Dead
yeah,
2 gore, where you can kind of get away with a 15 because it's so over the top. There's nothing really
yeah,
realistic about it to say, oh, this is an 18s. Um,
yes,
so that was probably my biggest disappointment is I wanted it to be in 18s. I was like, oh my God, you get that excitement when a film's in 18s
yeah, yeah.
and you know it's going to be
Uh,
rough. But
Yeah,
yeah, overall though, I absolutely loved this film. Jenks,
yeah.
what are you thinking
Right.
of Sweet
Yes,
Star Wars?
I would. Right, my sum up. I loved it. Highly recommend it for horror fans. Um, if you hear any negatives about this, don't listen to them. It's a great film. I give it a big fat 4 or 5. 5 star. Sorry, 4 stars. Cocked up my ratings. Four,
It's the
four,
easiest part of the review,
well,
man.
do you know what? When I do these reviews, right, I get so stressed about trying to pronounce names. It's the only thing I get stressed about. I don't care about anything else. I don't care if I make mistakes. The names I get stressed of, and I just cocked up the easiest part. 4 stars. What's yours?
I'm going solo soon, just let you know, guys. I am gonna go solo soon. This one is an absolute 5 stars for me. Like I said at the start, this has everything I want and need from a movie.
Yeah,
I've always loved the lighter side of horror, and this one delivers absolutely everything I want. And in the same week, right, I've seen From Dusk Till Dawn and Abigail in cinema. So when I watched From Dusk Till Dawn in cinema Monday, that was outstanding. And then I watched Abigail in
yeah,
cinema yesterday. What a cracking week. And it's been a great week for movies. I've had hell of a good
yeah,
run after the bad run we've had for the last few weeks.
yeah,
Abigail is an absolute 5 star movie, guys. If you haven't seen it yet, get to cinema, watch it. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. But if you
yeah.
have seen it, let us know what you think in the comments. But that's all we got time for, guys. Catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.